What is up, Internet world, and welcome to Accelerate. I'm Mike, and this is the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Now, the first generation Armada was launched in 2003, and that was built in Canton, Mississippi, and it was based off the Titan pickup truck. That was the first generation, and that was built all the way up to 2015. 2016, the second generation was launched, but this time, the build production was shipped back to Japan. Now, that second generation was built off the same platform as the vehicle that everybody knows when it comes to Nissan's SUV, the Nissan Patrol. But this 2025 is different. Yes, it does share the same platform as Nissan Patrol, but they've done one monster thing. They've pulled out the V8 and they've given us the V6 twin turbo to make it lighter, more aggressive, more zippy. And yes, we had that motor under the hood. It still looks like a box. Boxes that it competes with are the Suburban, the Yukon, the Tahoe, the Sequoia, and of course, the Expedition. So we're gonna get into this vehicle today. I'm gonna talk about the front, the side, the back. I'm gonna talk about the interior, how big and luxurious it is, and I'm gonna take it for a drive. Let's get into it. Now, taking the Armada for a drive, I'm in Montreal, but getting here, we took the highway. It took us 7 hours to come from my hometown of London, Ontario. And this V6 twin turbo is very smooth, but not just the power delivery, the actual suspension and the overall feel of the cabin when we were on this little journey here was soft. It wasn't body on frame like whatsoever. It felt like may I say it? A big domestic truck. Yep, it felt like a Yukon. It felt very smooth, not rugged or hard. Now, of course, this is not the Pro 4X. This is just the regular reserve model, which is the top of the line Platinum model, but it's very smooth, very luxurious, and that really caught me off surprise. I thought it'd be a little bit harder, but I slept in the back like a baby. It was actually really good, and it's spacious. Again, this can fit 8 people if you have to. This specific model, or this version, basically has two captains and then 3 in the back, which is where I slept. Now, Montreal has very bad potholes, very bad roads, and it does have a sporty feel at like first bump. So when you have articulation of the wheel, that's kind of firm, and then it really softens up. So the first kind of nudge it hits, it kind of does, give you that feedback, but it's overall smooth. Again, on the highway, very smooth, very quiet, and it averaged really good fuel mileage. I was averaging about 11 liters per 100 kilometers, which is excellent. It's very V6-like in a car, like an Audi S4 as an example. I'm averaging like 12 and a half. Now I'm on it a little bit more than I am something like this. This is really cruising. I was doing about 65 miles an hour or about 120 kilometers an hour, just cruising away, and it was perfect. So no complaints about that. It felt really solid. The materials in here felt good. It was smooth back there when I was sleeping. The materials didn't feel cheap whatsoever. And yeah, I had all the plugs I needed when I was like enjoying my life. So I would say that the drive here was excellent. So on the front here, you have something called the V motion grille, but besides being V, it is absolutely massive. And take a look at these LEDs. You have 2 splits of them. You have one up top here and one on the bottom here, and it really widens the front of this 2025 Armada. And it makes it more in line with its competitors. It doesn't feel like the outside child anymore. It feels like a massive box that the other ones have, like the Suburban and the Yukon. They're just big and bulky. This is a little bit rounded, not as boxed out as some of those other ones, but it's nice and classy nonetheless. This grille, of course, it's big, but it does have a lot of piano black in it. And it's not just one big flat panel. You've got these little sort of space bar looking things, and of course you're wondering where the front camera is. It is in the Nissan badge right there. You do have your Parktronic sensors, and then you have a fog light over here. Now, some brands have the fog light built into the headlight, and I don't really like that because it is high. In this specific case, it is as low as it can get right there. Now, they can't put it down here because obviously that is for the protection. That is where the frame goes to the end, so they have to have it right here where you have an open piece. So one of the cool things about Montreal is they have about 20 miles of an underground connected city, because it's pretty cold here for the most part all the time until summertime hits, which is when this place goes like crazy. There's all types of events, and it's an amazing city to have, or at least come in the summertime. They've got great food, a cool little downtown, and well, there's just a flair, and people dress well, people want to look good, very European style, which you just don't have in Toronto. Now, the one thing I can say about this Armada as this camera shifts around the corner here is it handles pretty well. It doesn't feel unstable or big, bulky, and boxy when you go around corners. It's very easy to drive. Anybody can jump in and just simply drive this Armada like it's no thing. And actually, when you think about the name Armada, you think big and bulky and boxy. So maybe the word Armada kind of does a disservice to what this new Armada actually puts forward and brings to the table. Now, it could be a user input thing. I did plug in the cord, and I did try wirelessly 2 times. I just couldn't get it to work. But nonetheless, it didn't really make a difference. The phone's in a good position here. I can just simply look at it. Now, we're pulling in this little park here because I like to go to parks in new cities because that really tells you the vibe of the city. A lot of people spend time in good cities with good parks. Now, there are cities that have parks and they're just usually kind of beat up. So you can really tell a quality of a city based on its parks. And this specific one is very pretty. Now, we've all gone to cities growing up, but when you get to a certain age and you go to cities, they just give you a different vibe than when you were younger, or you went with like a friend, or you went with like your girlfriend or your parents or whatever. When you come solo to a city, you're like, okay, I can kind of investigate at my own pace. So I'm coming to take a look at this like island of the lighthouse or something, and it's very pretty, and you can see the skyline of Montreal right there, and it's beautiful. So I'm gonna get out here, take some video for you guys, and yeah, very pretty. Whew. Now, coming around the corner, you will see how small I am compared to this beast and how squared off it is. You have one straight line right at the top. Even the shoulder line from here all the way down is one straight line. And that's what they're trying to do. They're not trying to make it rounded like the last one. They're like, we got to get a bit more square. And that's exactly what they're doing. Now, I put the 4As on so you guys can see where the side blinkers happen. They happen in the mirror, not on the side, even though this kind of looks like it where it should be, because you see in the Genesis, and even this, to me, looks a bit Range Rover-ish. Now, if you're wondering what type of wheels they have, they are 22-inch in size. If you get the Pro 4X, they are a little bit more heavy-duty for off-road, including some panels and some pieces to make it more off-roady. This is the more luxurious version. This is the Top Dog Reserve. Now, as I walk past this, you'll see these are fixed. They do not come in and out like some of the domestic brands. You can see it has a very high shoulder line. You can also see when you look lower that it does flare out a little bit to give it a little more width in the back, so it doesn't look like one straight panel. This definitely widens out when it comes to the rear fenders. And here you can see nice big open glass for the people in the third row. So I can wait for them very easily, and they have good visibility and they don't feel confined or claustrophobic. Now, in terms of getting stuff onto the roof, it is very, very high. I would have to put my legs here, grab this, and pull up. And this is not metal of any sort. So it's actually just plastic. And they do have little pivot points where you can put stuff in, but it does feel a little bit flimsy, as you can hear. Now, coming down again, if the key is in my pocket and I approach the vehicle, it won't automatically unlock. I simply press this button for it to lock and unlock. Now, the key's in it, that's why it's not doing it, but that's what you have to do. You do have accessibility, though, to all 4 doors, including the one in the back, the trunk. Now, what about little nuggets? You have one right here. It says Armada right there. And this piece right here is actually really nice. I appreciate them doing this because this is very, very 2025 and not like the last generation. It's kind of old looking. Now, before we wrap around to the back, I want to talk about inner fender liners. And we talk about this on the channel all the time. Usually they're just plastic and they just make noise when they go over gravel. But in this specific case, because it's really quiet inside, so I started looking outside thinking, like, what have they done to make it quieter? And in this specific case, you can see they've insulated it and put sort of a carpet-like material underneath here. So when it hits gravel, you don't actually hear in the cabin. It's nice and quiet. Now let's wrap around the back of this 2025 Nissan Armada Platinum Reserve. You can see how high it is. That is where the third brake light is. It is probably at the 6-foot level. Now, I do like that they put a little bit of, effort in this rear spoiler. It's not just flat. It does have a little bit of a groove to make it a little bit more sporty. Nice big glass. And if you're wondering where the wiper is, it is hiding underneath. Now, moving down from there, you have the Nissan badge in white, a really wide, long rear LED light bar to bring it together from end to end. And then to match the front, you have the same similar design with this like 2-step over here, like a 2-step C design on the taillights. Down from there, you do of course have a rear view camera. There's no washer nozzle on it, but hey, it's there. Down from there, you have a big plastic bumper. And if you're wondering what it tows, especially because it went down from a 5.6 liter V8 to a 3.5 liter six-banger, you can tow 8,500 pounds. Now I'm gonna show you guys how much room you have in the third row by lifting up this tailgate. But before I do that, I wanna ask you guys, these two shark fins, there's another brand out there that's also ultra luxurious and has two shark fins. So trivia question, let me know in the comments below, what other luxurious vehicle has two shark fins? Now, trunk time. Now, one of the tests I do is to show you if I can fit into the third row of this trunk. If I can fit inside, there's enough room. Let's see ya. Bye-bye. Yep, tons of room. Look how much room I got. There's plenty back here. So sometimes when you get these SUVs, there's actually no room behind the third row. You can't fit large suitcases back to back to back for everybody in here, but you can definitely fit two large suitcases back here when you stack them up lengthwise and you shove them across the back. Now, of course, there's going to be no visibility out that rear view mirror, but thank God you have a rear view mirror camera. Now, the first thing you'll notice is this flat load floor. There's no bump out because there's a battery. It's completely flat. And then over here, you do have a full plug that you can plug in, a 3-prong plug. If you lift this up a little bit, you have a small storage compartment. I wouldn't say you can put dirty boots in here. This is more for just like maybe some cleaners or some cloths you can put here. Now, you have 6 buttons here. These two will drop and raise the rear suspension. That way you have easeability or usability to put stuff inside the trunk. Then you have 4 more buttons, and that drops the third row as well as the second row. I'm gonna show you guys how to get into the third row. It's not done by pulling any handles here, it's done up top here. So I will pull this back, this whole seat moves forward, it does slide. There is a way to put my foot here, so I put my left foot here, lift up, right foot there. I do have enough headroom so I can get inside the third row, so I can show you guys how much room you have. Now, Nissans have these very long headrests, so you have to lift it up, that way it's not shoving into your back. And I'm 5'9", and I'm just about touching with my measly hair that I have left. So 5'9", I am good. I would say like 5'10", you're definitely touching. So 5'9" is probably about the limit. When I'm back here though, let me pull this back to show you guys how this looks. There we go, sitting straight. Boom, I have a vent right here so I can breathe. I don't feel claustrophobic. Like I talked about outside, I have a lot of light, essentially, a lot of visibility. I do have a speaker here. I do have a USB-C on this side. I have a USB-C on that side, so identical sides, this side and that side. I have 2 big cup holders, and well, yeah, I can see the back pretty easily. There's no tonneau cover here. I do have a handle in case Dad's driving crazy. Now, because this one has captain's chairs, there are 2 USB-Cs right there in the center console of the captain's chairs in between. And they also have 2 USB-Cs in front, you know, where the main console is. So there's 4 USB-Cs in this vicinity for the person in the middle. And then there's 1 here for me and 1 here for that person. So there's enough USB-Cs to capture us all. The only thing back here is I cannot control my venting. I cannot increase or reduce you know, the coolness that I'm getting back here. I have to tell the person over there, you know, make it cooler, make it hotter. There's no heated or ventilated seats back here in this top dog trim because of price point. And then there's a button here. So this button actually reclines me some more. So this is cool. Remember, you have it in the back, but to have it up here to recline you is nice because now that's reclined, I actually feel pretty comfortable, like a minivan. So back seat of the Armada. Woo-hoo. This is where the comfiness happens. You've got these awesome captain's chairs that have these diamond stitching patterns on the bottom and then perforations on the back. And they are dual color and they have dual stitching, sort of a gold stitching and a white stitching next to it. But there's a lot of room here. And in front of me, I got a ton of visibility. On the side of it, I got massive windows here. It just feels very airy, open, and spacious and luxurious. There is a center console for me. I have 2 cup holders, and then again, like I talked about, I have 2 USB-Cs for me and Buddy in the back, or I have 2 USB-Cs here, a cigarette lighter, and then the HVAC controls to control my heated seats. There is no ventilated seats back here, they're just heated, but I can recline these captain's chairs quite, you know, back, I guess you could call it. And then my left arm, it feels pretty good here. This door panel has leatherette all the way through, and then you have this camel color in the middle. I do have windows, obviously switches up and down. There is no sunshades, which is a little bit of a downer, you would think, for something so big. But again, it's a Nissan. They're trying to keep it maybe, you know, they're not trying to put all the luxury in here to pull away from maybe infinity. I don't know, but here we are. I do have caramel color seat belts. Nice. Front seat of the all-new Nissan Armada. The captain right here. Wow, very, very soft leather on the steering wheel. Very good. Now, when I jumped in this thing a week ago, because I've had it pretty much a week, it feels very luxurious. I'm actually surprised it's actually in the Nissan lineup. Like, they've given you all these like luxuries at this price point. So steering wheel, when I got in, I was like, this is really good. Seats feel very solid with these diamond stitched pattern and perforations all the way through. They are heated and ventilated, these seats. And of course you have a heated steering wheel. In terms of memory seat, you have 2 memory seats on the door panel here, wrapped with lots of this creamy white leather with some camel in the middle. You do have the ability to fold the mirrors in, and this does have a 12 speaker clips audio system. There is heads-up display, and I do have this 12.3-inch screen here and a 12.3-inch screen there. It's very clean and it's seamless. You have this like sunrise that goes all the way through. You do have widgets to tell me my phone is activated or connected to the car. You have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and of course your maps are right there, but really nobody uses them. And in 2025, they're actually not very good in terms of how it's displayed. It looks very plain and cheap looking, although it is Google. Now, you have this panoramic sunroof. I will say it doesn't go all the way to the end. It just sort of stays in this area. You do have an interior cabin camera, or, you know, a dash cam essentially for the front. And you got this guy, and you have a rear view mirror camera, and you have a space to put your sunglasses right there. And you have the ability to do that by pressing this button. It says camera. You hit it, and voila, you have the 360 camera right there with the Nissan Armada in red. Come on, Nissan. Why is it in red? This is not red. That should not be red, but it's very clean, it's good, and it works very well, especially because it's so high and you need cameras. Otherwise you're gonna run over people, which is not good to do in 2025. Anyways, back to the driver's seat. The steering wheel does have all your cruise controls on the left, and on the right-hand side, you get all the ability to adjust your infotainment, including skipping tracks. And if you're wondering where the volume is, it's on the bottom here on the left. Now, it does have these sensors looking at you to make sure that you are paying attention to the road when you have your adaptive cruise control on, like most vehicles. You have a trailer brake controller built in over there, your start and stop, your camera buttons, 4 big vents. Then, of course, your HVAC controls all here, including your different drive modes. So your drive modes go as follows. You have Eco, Sport, Tow, Rock, Sand, Mud Rut, Snow, Standard, and then back to Eco. Now, I will say, it doesn't really give you any sort of cool display. It's just the words change right on the tack here. Very easy to see, but also very plain, which is kind of interesting, especially when there's all this luxury in here. You'd think they'd put some fancy graphics like everybody else. And then this little thing right here on the center console saying since 1951, and that's paying homage to the Nissan Patrol because that's when it was first introduced. And I love it. But they should have called this thing the Nissan Patrol then, right? Because this is an Armada, not a Nissan Patrol. But I respect it because I love Nissan Patrols. So for those that have never been to Montreal before, it's a very European city. All the signs are in French. There's really nothing in English. It is French all the way through. Matter of fact, Quebec wants to have its own country. They want to separate from Canada. No idea how that's going to go currently with politics, but hey, that's what they want to do. And I kind of understand it because nothing here is in English. Everything's in French. And they live differently than people outside of Quebec do. But even if that was not in play, how does this now compare with the rest? Is it better? Not really. They've been doing it forever, forever, forever. This has a really good price point. It now gives you all those same features, all the same feelings as the bigger, big American 3, or at least very close to it. So now it's going to be people's radar, and now people might consider it. So that's that. That is a win as far as I'm concerned, because the last generation wasn't even on the radar whatsoever. So in that case, we're getting somewhere, Nissan, and I like it. So anyways, that's my review of this 2025 Nissan Armada. I hope you guys like this little Montreal experience. Throw it in there, adding a bit of lifestyle to change it up a bit, just to give you guys something different to look at. Anyways, we'll catch you on the next one.